I remember the first time I met Dani, I was in 6th grade and we were on Purim and we were all getting ready to go collect. And the guys were like, yeah, let's go pick up Dani. And I'm like, isn't Dani younger than us? And like, I was in 6th grade, so like, for a guy younger than us to come hang out with us, you know, it's a big thing. They're like, oh, don't worry, Dani's the type of guy who's able to hang out with the older guys. And then after that, we became really good friends. And as I got older, I realized that that was one of Dani's really special things, is that he was able to be friends with anybody. If it's the 9th grade, the 12th grade, he was able to hang out with any group in yeshiva, and everybody liked him, and he was such a good friend, and I miss him so much.
I had the privilege of knowing Dani for about a year. Although I felt like I knew him for so much longer, he was such a great guy. Everything about him, his smile, his high five, it was worth $1 million. He was an awesome guy. I remember one story in specific. I was at the Manobu Holiday game this past year, and I was coming to Waterbury this year, 10th grade. And I remember I had met Dani once before. He didn't really know me, I didn't really know him. And I was like on the sideline because I didn't really know all the guys that was going over and saying hello. And Dani was the only guy who came over, gave me 5, said what's up, got ready for Waterbury, whatever. It was just awesome. He was a great guy and a great friend.
Being Dani's dorm counselor since he came to Yeshiva here in Waterbury, I feel that if someone would have asked me who Dani's friends were, I'd have had a really tough time answering that, due to the fact that he had so many close friends. Everybody considered Dani a friend. 9th graders, 12th graders, Beis Medrash Habachur, didn't matter the age. Everybody wanted to be together with Dani. And now Dani, at your Shloshim, we're still together with you, and we'll always remember you.
After a great summer together, it was very exciting to come to Waterbury. You encouraged me very strongly to come. I'll never forget going to speak to Rabbi Kalish during one of the days of Jump Shot, and you were the first person I saw. You pounced on me. I heard Yitz, I heard you coming to Waterbury. I heard you coming to Waterbury, and it was always exciting, and I was looking forward to seeing you here, and I knew our relationship was only going to grow. We started learning Night Seder this year at Pirkei Avos, and things were great. It was great when you came and you participated. You always had insightful things to say, and I really, really cherished those moments looking back. I really knew that me and you were going to be super close as the year went on, and we were going to grow together through our learning, through playing ball, through everything. Thank you very much for all the great moments we had together.
When I first got to know Dani, he was still, young 9th grader, and there was just, from the first time you met him, there's something unusual and different about him. He was so cool and so with it. He would, as a 9th grader, he would hang out with the 12th graders. It's not something you find very often. That's who he was. Everyone loved Dani. Everyone wanted to be with Dani. His age didn't matter. It was his personality. And if there's one thing I can say, Dani, is that I really, really miss you.
Dani was a guy that I knew in Yeshiva last year and this year, and he had a certain glow to him that even if you weren't part of his chevra, you couldn't help but notice. The value he had for each person was just mind-boggling. Each guy, no matter how many guys he was hanging out with or how many guys were at his house, each guy didn't go unnoticed. And each guy has a story to share on a personal level, many stories to share, because Dani valued each person so much. And a midah that was striking for me about Dani was his emes. He was so truthful, he was so loyal, and he gave me a lot of chizuk. So I want to say that, Dani, thank you so much for all the chizuk you gave us, and we'll never ever forget you.
The time that I knew you, Dani, for was a very important time in my life. You embedded in me a very, very big mitzvah, and that was a mitzvah of achnasas archim. You would bring people to your house 10s at a time, just making sure they had somewhere to stay. You didn't feel an obligation to do the mitzvah, rather you wanted to. You had a certain ava for it, and that is going to be very missed, Dani.
A week before Dani was nifter, there was a power outage in Waterbury, and the yeshiva had to relocate to Flatbush. And throughout that whole week, people were in and out of Dani's house constantly because everybody felt so connected with him. And Erev Shabbos, I didn't have a place to stay at. So last minute, I called up Dani, asked him a place to stay. I didn't know what I was getting because people were in and out of his house the whole week. So I was expecting, like, I don't have room maybe, so whatever, I asked. And he told me, like, 100% for sure. And that whole Shabbos, I just felt so comfortable. It made me feel so at home.
Me and my friend, we were talking, and we were thinking upon each other, like, why was everybody by Dani's house at any given night and any given week? And we came to the conclusion that just because it was Dani's house. It had nothing to do with the fact that everybody was there. It was just, we wanted to be by Dani's house. That was it.
I've known Dani since last year. I was a very close friend of his. He got me into coming to Waterbury, and one of his many good traits was that he was a very loyal friend. I remember a few weeks ago, we went to a jet game together, and he found out that I had nowhere to stay because there was no ride back to 5 towns. And when he found out, he right away called up his father. He made sure I had a place to stay. He told me I could go straight to his house because even though he was going to come back later that night, but he still made sure that his father knew I was coming, and they made sure I had a place to stay. When I thanked him, he said, "What are you thinking for? What are you thinking for?" And that was just one of the many good traits that Dani had.
There's so much to say about Dani. One of the things I want to say about Dani that stands out the most to me was that Dani was a kid that if you're around, no matter what, he's always happy. And every time I was in a bad mood and I was around Dani, he always put me in good spirits.
And I always remember him always smiling, running through the hallways, always happy. I played basketball, some good games with him as point guard. He's just a great guy, and I miss him.
I've had the privilege of knowing Dani for many years. I consider him a very close friend of mine and a very easygoing guy. And one of the many things that said was that he was such a fighter and he wouldn't give up. And there's no question in my mind he would have grown up to be a great person.
Dani, I've been to become pretty good friends with you over these short 2 months. And one of the things I noticed, one of the many special things about you, that whenever you said something, you said it with such sincerity that you care for people. And I guess that was just one of the many special things about you.
There was something about Dani that he cared so much about everybody. He used to sit and talk with me and tell me how proud he was about the areas that I had grown in and the areas that so many of his friends had grown in, and it really gave him such a simcha, such a proudness to look on, as if he was like an older brother or something. The care he showed was enormous.
I was with Dani the night before on Sunday night, and I was with some guys, and someone asked Dani, he's like, "Dani, how come you're so cool?" It was like a rhetorical question, but it's true, Dani. How were you so cool? You were the best friend anyone could ever ask for.
It says in Pirkei Avos, "Emor ma'at v'aseh הרבה." Talk a little and do a lot. I've been in Waterbury for a year and a half now, and that was Dani. Dani was a person who didn't speak when he didn't have to speak, and when he spoke, it was amazing the way he spoke. Whenever he spoke, it was very geschmack. And he did amazing. He was always trying to grow, he was always trying to do better. He was always fighting to grow, and he didn't care if people were there or not. This past Yom Kippur, I was after Yeshiva, I was waiting for Rabbi Kalish, and like an hour and a half after Yeshiva, I was waiting for Rabbi Kalish in his office, and all of a sudden Dani comes over to me and he's like, "Habachur Gemara." And I was thinking, like, 10th grader learning 2 hours after Yeshiva, Erev Yom Kippur, like everybody wants to sleep Erev Yom Kippur. But that was Dani. Dani didn't care if people were there or not. He knew the truth, he knew Torah was the truth, and that's all he wanted to do. And it wasn't a surprise because a person like that with that midos was just such an amazing midos, such like a push to grow. He's such an amazing person. He was able to connect with his Habachur, connect with all his friends. And it's hard to get away from a person like that. Dani, we're going to miss you.
Dani was a good friend of mine for a long time, and we had a lot of good times together, a lot of good memories. But my favorite memory of Dani was last year when we were learning Shavuos. We were learning together Gemara, and I wanted to stop already. Kept on pushing me to just go one more minute, just learn one more minute. He was always pushing me.
That's the way he lived his life. No matter what the challenges were, no matter what the disadvantages he was at, he was always pushing to become better, always getting back up off the floor, no matter what.
Just like us, me and Dani sat down to learn Gittin. We learned for about an hour. While we were learning, Dani was telling me how this year he was gonna grow, and like he was, and he was really committed, and he wanted to grow, to learn,
work on everything, become a better Bentera. He was really going in the right direction, getting all the guidance from his Rebbeim and his brothers that he looked up to so much to him young. Our whole friendship was so real, and we were always trying to be like my brother Yona and his brother Tzvi, like that friendship, because they were so close. They are so close. Dani would constantly harass me to come to Waterbury for Shabbos. He told me that once I came, I wouldn't be able to leave. When we would talk about growing and about doing what's right, Dani would show me and tell me how much Waterbury has done for him, and how true the yeshiva was, making somebody do something because they wanted to, and how Dani was really starting, and that how he was really starting to do things with Ratzon and learning, and he would ask me to come wake him up on the way to Shachar, spend his manim. I remember he gave me the code to his house, and he told me, just come in, I promise, it's no good deal. I told my mother I'm giving you the code, just walk into the house, wake me up. Dani was always just growing, trying to be the best that Dani could be. And he was such a good friend. We're all going to miss him so much.
There's a chus to know Dani for a year. I wish I knew him for longer. In that year, we became very close. I used to be at his house all the time. And I know that I looked up to Dani for many, many things. There was one thing that stuck out overall. It was something that I always struggled with. So it really was a chizuk for me to be better in when I saw Dani, how Dani handled it. Dani was really calm, and on the court, there were times where he could have been very upset. He could have screamed, he could have yelled, he lost a tough game. He was always calm, he was always cool, collected, a calm person, an easygoing person.
I've had the privilege to know Dani since 7th grade. He's a natural athlete, always smiling, open house for everyone to come in. Just always being nice and there for you, easy to talk to. Just a great all-around friend to be with. Everyone loved him. Love you, we miss you.
Losing Dani was like losing a brother. I've known Dani for a little more than 5 years now. Every time I think of Dani, everything I've done since the incident happened, I know that Dani's watching down on all of us now. I know he knows the truth to everything behind this world.
I knew Dani since the beginning of 9th grade. He was an amazing friend to me. One thing I realized about Dani is that he was such a big pusher, strive for everything he's done. I wake him up in the morning for Shacharis and I would say, Dani, get out of bed. No matter what time we went to sleep the night before, he said, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. He pushed himself to the fullest for everything he's done. That's one thing I really admire about Dani. Another thing is that I feel like Dani started a path, this yeshiva, and I think that for all the Bachurim and everyone, I think that we have to follow in his way. I want to say thank you, Dani, for being such an amazing friend to me. I miss you.
Dani's been one of my closest friends since the beginning of 9th grade. And past 30 days, he's been constantly on my mind, as I'm sure it has been with everyone else. One of the greatest things about Dani is when anyone, any age, any grade, anyone who wanted to go to his house on their business day, who wanted a break, wanted to relax, Dani would automatically say, come to my house for Shabbos, and treated me like family. And I think it's important for everyone to remember that Dani's in the best place possible now, and he would want us all to be happy and continue doing things in his name. I had discussed to be Dani's roommate, and a few things I learned from Dani. One of them was just how mature he was and how much he had life thought out. I remember like a week before the accident, I was telling him about something that happened, someone I knew passed away, and he was telling me, yeah, it's crazy, but that's what I do when I'm mad at someone, when I'm in an argument with someone. I just think, what if I never saw that person again? He just had that certain maturity, you don't see that in 30-year-olds, you don't see that in anyone. He had life thought out. And another thing about Dani was just how determined he was. if he did something, he did it 100%. When he learned, he fought for every word. When he got up, he fought to get up. He fought to daven. When he played ball, he got all intense and ball. He got into it. Whatever he did it 100%. He was tough. He was. That's just part of who he was. And I think also the Kabbalahs that Yeshiva's doing is exactly what Dani would have wanted. I remember him always, no matter what time, if he woke up late, he would run to his tefillin. If I was in Yeshiva, Zevi made sure he'd bring back my tefillin, He'd always run to put on his tefillin, and his yarmulke and tzitzis, he was like, I remember we were on the subway on the way to Brooklyn. This was the week when we had no power in Yeshiva, and I was like falling asleep on the train, and while I was falling asleep, my yarmulke fell off. I was like tired, so I was just like falling asleep. I didn't pick it up. Dani shakes me up. He's like, Zevi, put on your yarmulke. Be proud to be a Jew. Keep your yarmulke on. I think these Kabbalahs are exactly what Dani would have wanted. And one of the hardest things about this is that usually in this type of tragedy, Dani would be the first person a lot of guys would go to. I would go to, just cry on his shoulder, tell him all about it. Now that he's not here, we just got to do it for him. We got to do it for him. And Dani, we really miss you, and we really love you, and we know you're in a better place right now.